Civil war is coming to America. You've been drafted on the Democrat or Republican side. You're gonna fight for your side. Yeah. Okay, bro. Good luck believing that. I got a bridge to sell you if you buy that. How are you doing today, everyone? Welcome to the Leo Show. My name is Leo. Did you guys go out last night? Did you guys go get drunk at the bar, at the club? Did you meet someone? Did you get in an altered mental state? Did you listen to what No, you didn't? I want you out there tonight then. I want you out there having fun. I want you having a good time. That's all that matters. Especially matters because of what we're going to talk about today, which is the next distraction, the next psyop, the next brain poke. How's everyone doing? I'm Leo. Welcome to the Leo Show. Today, you guys, I have to talk to you guys about civil war. Since the assassination of Charlie Kirk, rest in peace, sincerely, rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. Hope he is in peace at the moment. There's been a lot of discussion online, especially on the Twitter sphere and outside of that, in Republican politics in general. You've seen people like Tucker Carlson and Steve Bannon allude to, not say it's going to happen or anything, but basically somehow implying that some sort of civil war is coming to the United States. And you've heard this over the past couple of years, right? I mean, famously, infamously at this point, Tim Pool is a guy who's always going on about there's going to be another civil war, people are going to fight. And nothing against Tim Pool, sincerely. You guys know I don't have any problem saying I don't like someone. I have nothing against Tim Pool. I like Tim Pool. But I think he's fundamentally wrong. And I think the reason that he's wrong and why a lot of people are getting this wrong, because I see a lot of people, people have been calling me, they've been asking me, Leo, are we going to a civil war? This is such a fundamental misunderstanding of what a civil war actually is and whether one is possible in the United States at the moment. Much less if it's desirable, which the answer is always no. You do not want a civil war. Civil wars suck, man. Wars in general suck. They're no fun. But I think especially nowadays, with all of our modern comforts, which is a big reason why we don't have one, you're not going to have a civil war, man. There's too much to lose. There's too much to give up. So let's discuss why this perspective is wrong in my view, okay? Civil war can be defined as, I guess for our theory, for our purposes here, a conflict between two or more sides, but generally two in the Western conception, in one nation, in one state, over power. Now that definition, it's not really useful, and as you guys know, I'm a postmodernist Baudrillardian. It's vacuous, it's, as Piers Morgan says, my hero, for the birds. Look, civil war, if you really think about what it is, and if you go by history and our interpretation of it, there are civil wars that have happened for various reasons, at least the way the narrative is told. We have the Spanish Civil War between the nationalists, the fascists, the communists, the anarchists, but essentially there were two sides. It was Franco and everybody else, okay? Franco consolidated his side, the other side had all sorts of people, including George Orwell, went to fight there. The American Civil War, you had the southern states, but for our purposes, it might not even be best to define it by geography, because this is another reason that Americans get so amped up about Civil War. They think, it's going to be just like 1861. They're going to be fighting the states. It wasn't really about the states, right? It was two factions in the United States. But the one that I would bring in here to do a little swerve, a little twist, is the American Revolution was a civil war too. Okay, it was a war between two factions, and they were fighting, some for independence and some for not. But look, and not to get too Howard Beale too early, guys, but you think that when they were sitting down in the middle of the Spanish Civil War, do you think that they were sitting down and going, the Franco side, we have read the tenets of Nazism and Mussoliniism, and we really believe this, and this is why we must fight? And do you think the other people on the other side were going, we have read the tenets of Marxism, and for this reason we must fight? Absolutely not, man. Absolutely. No one thinks like this in reality. This wasn't true in the Civil War. The South wasn't thinking, we have to fight for such and such reasons. And the North, no. The reason people fought these civil wars, as they're known, is for power at the end of the day. It was not over ideology. It was not over anything other than something material, which was power. I mean, it's a little nebulous power too, but it is control. It's control, right? And what I'm saying here is this, is that if you still think that things are fought over ideology, over, I don't know, just anything that's not real in the sense of, money or control, then you have been completely had your mind destroyed, okay? No one has ever in history fought for anything like this. It's a very few amounts of people that have ever, whoa, you guys see that? A couple squirrels fighting. It's very few people who have ever fought over an ideology. I think that the most prominent example of something like this, if you believe the official story and narrative, is you think about September 11th. I mean, a lot of people don't really consider this, but this is the thing that I find most fascinating. And Baudrillard found fascinating too about that event, which is that these guys, these like a dozen or so guys, all got together and they flew planes into buildings because of their religion, which, for our purposes, an ideology. Do you know how insane that sounds? If it's real, if that's the real reason, that's crazy. Think about that. I always like to think about the second plane on that day. They saw the first plane go into a building. They didn't see it live. They saw the aftermath, and yet they still did it, and they didn't miss. That is a level of belief that is so rare throughout history. It's incredibly rare. Who else had that? Maybe Robespierre. No one else has that kind of belief. That is so rare. And I think arguably it can only happen once every century. It's very, very unlikely for ideology to drive people to do things outside of sporadic blankist violence, right? And that 9/11 can be seen in some ways as that. Returning to our main theme though, what people describe as the American Civil War, I'm not exactly sure what they mean because they're not very descriptive, right? They say there's going to be the left and the right, and the right's going to be fighting the left because the right is, they're sitting around, they're reading TPUSA pamphlets, and the left, they're sitting around and they're reading the DNC platform, and they really, really, really believe in these, and they're going to fight because of them. Guys, that's ahistorical. No one has ever done that in history. Civil wars, like all wars, are wars where you need backers, you need an organized group of people that want to achieve something, and an achievable goal. I'm not sure those are the only three things, but those three things are something important. One of the reasons that I think January 6th wasn't seen as a serious attempt at a coup by people on the American right is because there is some truth to the fact that this was a disorganized blankist mob at worst. What was this mob going to do? Seize the Congress? I mean, what does that mean? Unless you're like a child and your brain is made out of doo-doo or something, you don't just eliminate the king and then you become the king. That's not how real life works, okay? That's why these people were saying, it wasn't exactly a coup. And I understand why people on the left thought it was, but I'm just saying internally, it is coherent to believe, how could this be a coup? They had no plan of action. They had no idea what they were doing. So all events in the United States that have been used to push for a civil war idea are of this nature. None of them have been a power-driven, achievable thing. Okay, none of them have been that. When Franco decided to not go straight to Madrid, to go to Toledo so that he could continue his war, it was with the explicit purpose to fight as long as possible in order to remove enemies for when he acquired power in Madrid. And that's why he prolonged that war. Okay? That is someone who is thinking we are going to take the capital, and with that we will have power. We're being backed, as I said, foreign backers. We're being backed by Germany. The other guys are being backed by the Soviet Union. And what we're going to do is we're going to use our abilities here in order to drag this out so we can achieve power, and we know how to do it. That's what someone who's fighting a civil war actually thinks like. No one in the U.S. thinks like this. No matter how radical someone may sound, no one and the reason why people don't think this is because there really is nothing to rebel against. Doesn't matter what side you're on. If you think that you are heading towards a civil war, you are really a victim of Fukuyama. You are one of Fukuyama's last men rebelling against nothing. For the average American, really try to think about what is there to fight for. Beyond the fact of, let's say you could fight for it, and let's say you could achieve power. Let's say if you fought a civil war and you took DC, and that meant that you got to control the country, you got to scrap the Constitution and become a dictator. First of all, no one wants that responsibility nowadays. We are always running away from responsibility. No one wants responsibility. Even radical figures, or radical as we think, like let's say Donald Trump, does not want responsibility. If he wanted responsibility, he would not be delegating as much as he is. He would be making decisions himself. But let's say, okay, there's a group of people like this that are going to achieve power. Look, no one is backing them. No one cares about their efforts. Everyone sees them as, at best, a LARP. That's what they see them as a LARP, because none of them have any ability to execute the logistics and just actions in order to achieve this, nor do they have the vision to actually lead. And you are the last man in Fukuyama if you believe this, because you are rebelling against nothing, as I said. The average American man, this is, I often say we live in hell, and we do, but in hell, this is heaven. This is the other side of heaven, the United States. Are you kidding? You're going to tell me that I'm going to go to civil war and I'm gonna have to stop watching the new Netflix series today? I'm going to have to, not order DoorDash or get my Amazon Prime? Man, I'm not doing that. And this is actually a good thing, in my view, because it prevents and diffuses the ability for violence to come together and be organized. Because you don't want that, dude. As much as people say, oh, this would be... I haven't seen many people cheer it on and say civil war would be good. But they kind of are fetishizing it in a way. And it would be very bad. America has achieved so much in the past decades that no one else was able to. I mean, just think about Amazon. I hate Amazon. I think Amazon is an evil company, okay? But Amazon, dude, I can order vitamin D capsules, and they will show up at my house on the same day as long as I pay for an annual Prime membership that's what, less than $100? You think I'm going to give that up for some sort of, I don't know, nebulous idea of we're going to achieve power and fix things, as I always make fun of? Yeah, fix things. Yeah, you're going to fix things. No one's going to fix anything. No one knows how to fix anything. No, dude. You are rebelling against nothing. You are a rebel without a cause. Your cause is a simulacrum. Your cause is completely fake. If you won, you would hate it. It would make things even further hell than they are. And if you're agitating for this, or if you're taking this seriously, dude, you are only hurting yourself. You're only hurting yourself because you're constantly getting angry. And not even that. People are using... I wouldn't be surprised if Smith & Wesson and Bass Pro Shops and all these people were pushing for you to think that we're having a civil war. Go ahead, plan it out. Buy your preservatives and your firearms and stuff. You know someone's making money off of that. All the time they're making money off of that. And what? You're not going to use it. You're going to be a prepper. Preppers have been around since the fucking 50s. Has anything ever gone off that has made their preparation worthy? No. They've only wasted their money and time and mental energy. These people want you to think that we are on the edge. They want you to hate your neighbor. They want you to not go out to the bar and find someone that loves you. That's what they want out of you. And that's why they're always trying to stress you with civil war. Civil war is coming. Yes, civil war is... Dude, nowadays, you could only have a civil war in a place like, I don't know, man, Sudan, with the RSF, because, the UAE is backing one side and the other side's being backed by the Ukrainians at this point are backing the other side. It's just crazy. It doesn't even make sense. And those people get to have a civil war because they live in hell relative to the United States. And even on an absolute basis, man. Life in Sudan probably sucks compared to the US, okay? You have way too much to lose. You have way too much to lose. We are almost at, these lefties like to say post-capitalism. Dude, we are almost there, actually. Sorry, late-stage capitalism. We are almost there. We are almost at full communism in this country. And guess what? Liberalism has produced the best version of communism that has existed. You get to, obviously there's problems, but the fact that you can order something and it shows up on the same day or the day later is such a marvelous achievement of human ingenuity and technology that no one is willing to throw that away. No one is willing to throw that away. They want you stressed. They want you scared. They want you buying useless shit so that you are distracted, so that you make other people very rich. Screw all that, man. Screw all that. Dude, like, just chill out. There is no civil war. None of it is coming. It's going to be okay. Look, rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. And this will result in punitive measures towards the internet, most likely, because we need more surveillance to prevent something like this happening. But that's all that's going to happen. No one is going to actually plan out a civil war because you can't plan it out. That's the other thing, is that people think, because we're all scientists, right? We all live in post-modernity, but people have a modern mindset in that I'm going to plan it out. I'm going to see it. I'm going to predict. You can't predict these things, man. You can't. They just happen. They just happen. And then the nerds get together and they write a history book and explain why it happened. But that's just nerd shit, okay? Why did the American Civil War happen? You don't know. You weren't there, okay? You have no idea why that happened. You have no idea why the commander that fired on Fort Sumter actually thought that was a good idea. You have no idea. You weren't in his head. And they'll say, oh, slavery or states' rights or the Bleeding Kansas and John Brown raid. It's all just fucking nerds, dude. They're all writing the history books. And these nerds now are trying to write the future history books. No one can write the future, man. But what I can tell you is when people have too much to lose, which all of us have, there is no possibility of civil war. You could be homeless in America and you'll still have a cell phone. Who would give that up? If you want a civil war that badly, go move to Sudan, dude. Go move to the Congo and fight in the Kivu region. You really want that? You think that's a good idea? Go try it out. They should do that. They should sell you the Civil War package, and you sign up for a subscription for a month to go move and join the RSF in Sudan and see if you like it. Okay? I bet you're not going to like it. I bet you, and you're going to come back and you're going to say, no, I prefer my comfort here. There's too much to lose. There's too much to lose. And that's fine. You're allowed to live a good life. And lastly, I'd say, as I always say, we live in hell. And hell is a prison. Foucault was right about that. We are in a prison. And you don't want to get in a fight with someone else that is in prison with you. Dude, if you're in prison and you're a blood and your cellmate's a crip, is it smart to be at each other's throats? Absolutely not. It's fucking stupid. Just serve out your term and get out. And that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Stop worrying about this civil war. With that, everyone, as I always say, go out there. Tonight, I want you out there. I want you getting drunk. I want you having a good time. Don't be an alcoholic. Just go get drunk. Find someone that loves you, someone that won't grift off you when you untimely pass, as we all are going to. Don't think about a civil war. Don't buy the supplements and the preservatives and the ammo and the ACOG and the rifle. You're just making other people rich based off of your lack of thinking. You are Fukuyama's last man. And if you know you are, you know to just chill. So with that, guys, I do have to add this. Rule number 1 of King Leo's channel, don't tell anyone about King Leo's channel. This is for you. Rule number 2, do not talk about the King Leo channel. But you, like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you tonight streaming.